Number 12 gives this position function x of t is equal to t cubed minus 6t squared plus 9, and it gives the domain restriction t is greater than or equal to 0, and it says that t is in seconds and x is in meters. Okay. Then part A says find the velocity and acceleration. That's just a derivative. V of t is equal to 3t squared minus 12t, and then A of t is equal to 6t. So we got that. And then part B says, what is the velocity and acceleration at time 6? That may seem simple enough, like just go ahead and plug in 4 into all of them. And it pretty much is 48 minus 48, that's 0. And A of 4 would be equal to 24. The problem with this is that if you forget the units, you will actually lose a point out of the 9 points on an AP problem. And that can be devastating because that's just such an easy thing to do. So just be careful on all these problems that you read meters per second squared, and we're even just going to put 0 meters per second so that whoever's grading that knows that I know what units are. Then it says, when is the particle at rest? The particle is at rest anytime v of t is equal to 0. And we've already found one of those because 4 was a factor, or 4 was a root, but let's go ahead and factor this. 3t, t minus 4. And it says, okay, so t equals 0 or t equals 4. And it's worth comparing this against my domain restriction. So I have t equals 0 and then t equals 4 up here. So 0 is okay. So the two places where the particle is at rest are t equals 0 or t equals 4. Part D is tricky unless you kind of think what's going on. Basically, it's saying when's the particle slowing down. This is when v and A are acting in opposite directions. Velocity and acceleration are opposite, meaning they're being pulled in different directions. And to do that, I'm really going to want to do a sign test on both velocity and acceleration. So here's velocity, and I'm going to do a sign chart from 0 to infinity. And I know that it's at rest at 0 and 4. We already determined that. And I also know that the signs are going to be positive here and negative here, both by plugging in values and because this is how this is working, where it's a positive leading coefficient. Then if I check acceleration and look at that function, so we go back up, acceleration is just always, well, the only root of acceleration is 0. So if I just check between 0, acceleration should always be positive. I should move that up here. So where are velocity and acceleration acting in opposite directions looks like within this region here. So I would say that the particle is slowing down, we'll say slowing down on t contained within 0 to 4, since t is, since between 0 and 4, we can say since velocity is less than 0 and acceleration is greater than 0. That gives a reason behind what I did. And then finally it says total different distance traveled in the first 5 seconds. I'm mostly interested in the places where it's stopped. So we're going to go back up and look at this sign test right here. And I want to know where is the particle at t equals 0, which is where it's starting, t equals 4, which is where it's stopped, and t equals 5, which is the end of the interval. And I want to plug each of those into x of t. For the benefit of those who had Mr. Franklin last year, I'm going to actually teach a little bit of synthetic division, because my function x of t equals t cubed minus 6t squared plus 9t. I can easily substitute these values in. Well, 0 is easy. We'll just 0, 0. But I'm going to do the other ones with synthetic division. What I do is I take the coefficients of all the terms, 1, negative 6, 9, and then there's a plus 0 here, 0. And I'm going to test and plug in 4. And I'm going to bring down the 1. Okay, the algorithm is multiply, add. 4 times 1 plus negative 6 is negative 2. 4 times negative 2 plus 9 is 1. And 4 times 1 plus 0 is 4. I'm going to circle that. That is actually the value you get when you plug 4 into the function. It's just a quicker way to do it. Then we're going to do 5, same thing. 5 times 1 plus negative 6 is negative 1. 5 times negative 1 plus 9 is 4. And 5 times 4 plus 0 is 20. So I get 20. So what this is telling me is that between 0 and 4, it is actually moved 4 units, because the absolute value of the difference there is 4. And then between 4 and 20, it's moved an additional 16 units. So the total distance traveled is 4 plus 16, or 20 units. And not just units, sorry, here I am making that big hype about units themselves, meters. So 20 meters. and now my effort to stop the video. So I lost my